Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. My next guest is someone that you'll recognize. You've seen her at press conferences with our mayor's office because she is, in fact, the board chair of the Metropolitan Transit Authority of Harris County Metro, as you know it, and also an executive here in the Houston area doing phenomenal work for a very long time, making sure we're moving and making sure that things are happening at Metro. Elizabeth Gonzalez-Brock, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Always excited to have you here because knowing you the way I do, you've got this can-do attitude and also a let's get it done and figure it out now, right? It's Metro now.
Absolutely. I get the great privilege of working for what I believe is the best mayor we've ever had. And he has a can-do attitude that basically the people that he surrounds himself with are people that can get stuff done.
Yes.
And we all work together very, very well. We collaborate with the county, we collaborate with other agencies to just get stuff done. We really, as a city, as large as we are, we have to be able to work.
Well, and I want to remind people, when you say work, this is a volunteer position on top of your full-time high-level responsibility job at Centerpoint. And we're so fortunate to have Houstonians like yourself. When the mayor asked, would you take on this huge responsibility to have people like you say yes? He's not asking people who have a lot of time. He's asking people who get a lot done, and you're one of those people. So thank you for doing that. But I always like to make sure that the audience knows that you're doing this because you love Houston and you believe in the mayor and his agenda.
Thank you for saying that. I heard a saying once that said, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah.
So they're busy times, but it's a good place to be.
And a lot is happening with Metro. Some of the great announcements, of course, include transportation to and from both of our big airports.
Yeah, so we're really excited. One of our most popular things that we've done is have a direct route to and from the airport. Why it wasn't done before, I'm not sure, because it's wildly popular, and it's in time for the World Cup, because as we get ready for the World Cup to be here, we have 500,000 people that are coming here from around the world, and those people are used to taking transit. They're going to get here, they're not going to be renting cars, they're not going to be having their own cars, they're going to be looking for public transit, and so we need to be able to transport them from the airport to the locations where they're going to be attending.
Yeah, and all of this is happening in record time. And it's going to stay here well after the World Cup is come and gone. And there's just so many more big events coming to the Houston area. So for Metro, I know key to all of this is to find new ways to move people around. It's about mobility and not just sticking to that bus route that goes, by your workplace, but other ways. So what other ways are you connecting Houstonians? So
we have to be able to think about mobility in general, right? How do we keep people moving? How do we keep traffic moving? We can't just rely on one system, so we can't just invest totally in buses or rail. We have to have on-demand services. We have to have other services that are going to be complementing our fixed route services, but we have to meet the customer where they are and give them services that are going to make their lives easier, make transportation, make them want to put their keys down and take transit.
Which also goes into technology. What changes are you seeing there?
So the on-demand services, in one, being able to say, I want a vehicle, much like the Uber system, to come pick you up and take you to where you need to go. We have our community connector that does that, and it's in 5 different communities right now. We want to expand that, but we also want to make sure that we're looking at other innovations. How do we look at technology? Like, for example, you should be able to see when your bus is coming and take your bus so you can know when to go outside and catch your bus.
Especially in Houston with the weather changing all of the time.
That's right. And so being able to see exactly where your bus is coming and arriving to pick you up on time. That is technology. That's giving you
People
information.
expect it.
Right. And people should have it. So we're working on
Yes.
making sure that all the buses and the rail on-demand services have that type of technology to give you the information you need in order to make choices.
And I imagine, especially, I go back to this World Cup, you're looking at best practices, not just from around the country, but across the globe.
Yes, we are looking at best practices. We're working with FIFA to help us understand what are the best practices that exist out there to make moving large groups of people more effective.
Seniors, they rely on Metro. What are some of the things that you all are doing to help our seniors move
So we
around?
have our Metro Lift program that's been around for a long time, and our community connector is a little bit different because it's more of an on-demand service, so you get it right away as opposed to having to schedule it way in advance. You know, before, having to schedule something a day in advance just isn't working, right? People deserve better than that. They should be able to call transit and have them pick them up. And so our community connector is helping getting people to doctor's appointments, grocery stores, helping them, attend after-school programs. So having a service like that will be a game changer for transportation.
So when we think about another community that you would imagine could benefit, that would be people in school, colleges. Anything being done there?
Yes, so we have, right now our Community Connector is working with after-school programs, but we need to be looking at how do we use, how do we complement what's taking place at universities, getting students around. Also the medical center, that's a great place where we have 10,000 riders that get to the medical center every single day. But once they're there, where do they go from there? How are they going to be moving around?
And also just finding, because the density in that medical center, right? Providing bridges, or again, just understanding that that's a different part of town with different needs, and utilizing your resource to meet the specific needs in the medical center, because we rely on that community to get to and from and around.
And that's why we prioritize the medical center. It's very important that even when there are large weather events, we tend to prioritize making sure we get people to the medical center, because we realize that they have a special role to play there, and making sure that they get to where they need to be.
Well, as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, we're very excited about the World Cup and welcoming people to Houston so that we can show people what Houston's about. But we're also investing in infrastructure. Infrastructure is really, really important to not just our user experience, but how people feel about our city. And so we're contributing there. We're excited about that because it's not only for the World Cup, but it's also for the experience after the World Cup is here and gone, because that's going to be for a short period of time. But we're also expecting more events to come down the road too.
Well, thank you for all that you do for our great city. Thank you for being very invested and engaged in the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We rely on great community leaders such as yourself to make sure our city is thriving. You're doing a great job. We appreciate it. And we know that you're not only a woman, a career woman, you're a mom, you're a daughter, you've got a family, and you make it all seem easy. So
Well,
thank
you very much. And thank you for all that you do in
you.
helping us get our message out.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we thank you for visiting us, and we ask you to please go to our website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. We'll see you soon. Goodbye. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Today, we're excited to visit with one of our corporate partners, Prosperity Bank. And if you've been watching the news, Prosperity has been doing some phenomenal work in the city. They've got some great news from Darren Drago, the chairman area, Prosperity Bank. Thank you so much, Darren, for joining us and for the support and investment in the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Darren.
Laura, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here today. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. And as mentioned, the growth of Prosperity has been steady. This is not from 2 years ago. It's been a steady, continuous, strategic growth. Can you talk to us a little bit about that strategy?
Yes, absolutely. So We completed a couple of mergers, primarily West Texas banks, last year, and we recently closed two acquisitions. One, American Bank, which had more of an impact in South Texas and the San Antonio, Austin area. And we also closed on Texas Partners Bank most recently, again, impacting more of the San Antonio, Austin area. As I'm sure that a lot of our viewers have heard, that we also have a pending acquisition of Stellar Bank, which is a really big deal for us here in Houston, as their market presence is primarily in Houston and the Beaumont Golden Triangle area. So we're really excited about that.
Well, and obviously it's a significant announcement for the Houston area and the surrounding region. And you've been chairman now for how long?
I've been chairman for a year, just under 2 years. Before that, I was area president for a number of years.
And in banking, tell us a little bit about your history. How many years?
I have been in this business for 40 years, all the time in Houston. And in fact, I've officed within a 2 to 3 mile radius for the entire 40 years. So time flies when you're having fun. So I joined Prosperity 14 years ago, and I joined the bank as a senior lender, and as lending was my primary focus for the majority of my career. But I came to Prosperity 14 years ago. As I said, I became the area chairman about 2 years ago, and basically what that entails is that I am responsible for the Houston operations of Prosperity Bank, which is comprised of 62 full-service banking centers. We are managing a loan book of about $4.6 billion and deposits of in excess of $6 billion. We also have approximately 60 lenders across our Houston footprint. So I spend a lot of my time, Laura, managing those lenders, since that's, my primary background. And, really my role is to help them identify opportunities, help them get those deals structured in a manner in which we can get them approved, hopefully, and win the business. So, our business is relatively simple. We bring in new customers, get deposits, and then we loan that money out. So it sounds simple. It's not quite that easy, but my role for Prosperity Bank is to help make those two things happen in Houston, Texas.
And at the end of the day, your customer, your clients are all the better for it. What does all of this mean for businesses, especially here in Houston, that now Prosperity is growing and continues to grow?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, we our footprint in Houston is as far south as Galveston, north to the Woodlands, Conroe area, northwest to Waller, and southeast to the Golden Triangle. So we have a pretty big footprint. And as you can imagine, we're very diverse as a result. So, and Prosperity Bank as a whole, we have lenders that have expertise in agriculture lending and cattle lending. In West Texas, we've got the energy, oil and gas lending. The Dallas, Houston markets tend to be more traditional commercial banking and commercial real estate, but in our suburban locations, we do a lot of the consumer retail lending. So we're a large community bank, Laura, and we like that, and we pride ourselves on providing that level of customer service that people really want to receive. I think a lot of companies have gotten away from that really old school customer service, and that's really important to us. We want our customers to walk in our banks, and we want our employees to know them and greet them by name. We think that's real important, and it has worked well for us.
Well, and part of that is really because it's a Texas-based financial institution, don't you think? And it's part of our
culture in Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. And we built an amazing franchise here in Texas. A lot of big banks have tried to come into Texas and make a splash, and it's not that easy. And the unique thing about Prosperity is that we have Texas bankers. The guys running the show are old line Texas bankers, and that really does matter. It definitely matters.
Leadership matters, and of course to Dave Zalman and the entire team, hardworking, very strategic, knowledgeable, and they understand business and they operate as such, and to the front lines of making sure those phones are answered, that people, as you said, when they walk into that bank, there's a face behind it, there's a business behind it, and that growth means that you can still have those one-on-one relationships. So for all you do, Darren, and the entire Prosperity team, we want to say thank you for your engagement with the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the continued partnership that we have with you all. On behalf of our team and to yours, we wish you a great day, and thank you again to you and the entire Prosperity team.
Thank you again, Laura, for having me.
We'll see you soon. Goodbye. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Very excited to have our next guest on, who's been a great collaborator with the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. She's a fierce leader, and she has just been an extraordinary leader. We're so fortunate that she's here in Houston with a great team behind her, by our side, by her side, making sure that things are getting done in this greater Houston region, and in particular, during a really exciting time where Houston is going to be on the world stage very soon. And she's in the middle of all of the excitement. And thanks to her, your Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is also at the table. And through our work with the Houston Harris County Sports Authority, I'm excited to be on the executive committee. And we also want to thank all of our elected officials, including our mayor and others who have been just great representatives, making sure that Houston is able to shine, not just during the World Cup, but for a long time thereafter. So our guest is none other than Jessica O'Neill. She's the president of business operations for the Houston Dynamo Football Club and Dash. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure to speak with you, and for you to say anything wonderful about me is a bit ironic because there are few leaders who open as many doors in this city as you do, Dr. Murillo. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, it's all about collaboration, and that's one of the great things that I personally love about Houston is that people understand how important collaboration is, and what a more perfect time than now to make sure that we are connecting the dots for a long time to come with the business community, with sports, with the Dash and Dynamo. It's a very important time, and then at the same time on this international stage, and to have you at the helm of what's got to be exciting. And of all the people that I've been working with and collaborating with during this exciting time, I'm going to say you're the only person involved that in the middle of all of this planning had a baby and came back to work. So kudos to you.
We keep that on the download. No, yes, I'm sure there's not many in that same situation, but I have an incredible husband, and we, life doesn't wait. That's the thing. There's always something going on.
Well, and it's important because, again, as women, as leaders, as executives, we're also oftentimes, leading a family, and children, come and we give birth to them, and then we continue with our careers. And so, Jessica, for sure, kudos to you, because that is not easy. I still remember you at one of the last events, and I'm like, you're still working, and you were moving around the stadium. And that's what we do as women. We keep going. We find a way to continue to take care of our families, take care of business, and take care of our team. So kudos for that and for being a great example to women. So now, Dynamo Dash, you're gearing up. What do people need to know about this exciting time in your season? You're having sellout record attendance at the matches.
Yes, we are 2 games in, 2 home games for the Houston Dynamo. In 2 games in, it is the strongest start to the season that we've had in 5 years from an attendance standpoint. That's not something that we take lightly. We know what this 6 month run up to the World Cup is like. We know there's going to be a tremendous amount of interest following. We didn't really want to wait. You strike me as somebody also who doesn't like to sit back and wait for things. We didn't want to wait to see the World Cup come, maximize that momentum and then hopefully capitalize on it with the rest of the season at the end. We wanted to come out the gate strong. So we focused on what we had heard from the community about what people were looking for that might be holding them back from coming at all to Shell Energy Stadium or to coming more often. And a lot of that, quite frankly, was pricing, accessibility. This is an economy where, people think twice about how you spend disposable income, but also your time. And we have to make sure that it matches, that it's valuable because this is a competitive market. There's so much to do on any given Saturday night. We need to make sure that if you spend your time with us at a match, that it's worthwhile for your family and your friends, because you could have been doing one of many other things during that time. So yes, it's been a great start.
And it's so exciting, the pre-festivities, the ambiance before the game begins, the band, all of the hardcore fanatics that are out there yelling and screaming. And it's just, again, I think a great story of persistence and staying on it in terms of building a team and building that audience so that after all of this work that you guys can look around and say, hey, we're on the right path in 2026. And you're going to have some phenomenal opportunities during this big game that's coming up in June and July. Talk to us specifically about some of the exciting things coming.
Yes. So the Major League Soccer season and the NWSL, the league that the Dash play in, they both pause as soon as the World Cup tournament gets started, which is very helpful because it allows us to open up the stadium in a very different manner and allow the focus on soccer to be at the highest level while the World Cup is going. So we also have the benefit of proximity to the FIFA Fan Fest location that the host committee is driving forward with the mayor's office in the county and so many stakeholders, because it's not easy to pull off, a several block outdoor space into the beautiful footprint that we know it will look like. And they're
July in Houston, Texas.
Correct. They're working on programming something for everybody, and we have an opportunity to complement that programming, because there will be days where there might not be enough space in that FIFA Fan Festival footprint for everybody who comes down to East Downtown and wants to watch the matches that are going on. We think that's especially the case on certain days when Mexico is playing their group stage matches. We have a curated program around those 3 group stage dates, knowing that hopefully they play later on in the tournament as well. So our goal is to open up the doors of Shell Energy Stadium during the tournament so that as many people as possible can come through the soccer-specific stadium downtown, even if it's just on their way to FanFest, right? Pop in, get a drink, get some elotes, take a photo of the pitch, see what it looks like if you've never been, use the restroom, get some shade, and then go check out everything that is set up at the FanFest. Other days, there'll be a lot more programming. There'll be music, there'll be watch parties, but we are leaving no stone left unturned, that's for sure.
No, and I know that we are, working on a collaborative opportunity so we can make sure our local businesses take advantage of this. And so it's just an exciting time. It has to be something that your team is not sleeping. You're running on adrenaline because this is going to absolutely open so many doors. And again, I just want to emphasize, Jessica, how proud we are that we have a woman at the helm there at Shell Energy Stadium leading these efforts. And your team is just a dynamic, great group of people that want to leave their mark and want to be part of this historic time in our big city. But I want to shift just a second to ask if you knew you always wanted to go into sports, because again, it's a male-dominated industry.
I did. Well, maybe I didn't. I went to college orientation. I went to the University of South Carolina, and I sat in the business school presentation, and I wasn't really captivated. And somebody in that same conversation, flagged with me that the university I was at had a program for sports management, and I didn't have real clarity on what that was, but they essentially said it's relevant if you want to work in sports. I'm like, well, I love sports. If that's a path, let's look into it. And I, like so many people, I grew up going to live sporting events with my father, with my family, like that. Those were gathering opportunities and memories for us for me, it was college football, American football, that my dad and I would go to a couple games a year. You'd be in stadium with tens of thousands of people, all rooting for the same thing. You might have nothing in common with the person to your left or the person to your right, but you're cheering on the same team for the same reason. That was exhilarating to me. And the fact that I could make it a career was a dream come true, and it's been amazing. So it wasn't a goal, but sports have always been in my life. I was a competitive volleyball player for a long time. That competition runs through a lot of us, obviously, in these roles that we're in, and I'm fortunate that gets to be my job, that I can be around the spirit of competition every single day.
Well, and it's very evident that you're driven by, again, making sure that Houston will stand very proud on such a significant time in sports history. And we want to again say thank you for all the work that you all are doing, and in particular, again, for taking care of business and making this an experience for the entire community. And if you've never been to one of the soccer matches, please visit their website. Go out and support the Dynamo Dash teams. And again, we'll see you there. Your Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce will be there during this exciting time in partnership with the Dynamo Dash. Jessica, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thank you so much for the partnership. We're excited.
Bye-bye. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So happy to be with our next guest. They're partners of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Of course, it is Toyota Center. With us today is the General Manager, Doug Hall. Welcome, Doug.
Good afternoon. How are you, Doctor?
Excellent. It's always great to partner with you guys. It's such a great partnership, and you all have so many phenomenal activities and a lot of exciting upcoming events. So why don't you share with us a little bit about what we can see in 2026?
Well, we've got a great lineup in February and March, and hopefully the basketball playoffs in April. So we're excited about that. So a lot of concerts. For the first time ever, we're hosting the NCAA Men's Regional in late March. So that's brand new to Toyota Center. I've been to Houston several times, but we're super excited about that, and we've got a great concert lineup as well.
Yeah. So tell us about the concerts. Who should we expect to see at Toyota Center?
Well, we've got Ricardo Arona coming up in March. Peso Pluma, who's making a return trip. Romeo Santos and Prince Royce, as well as Karen Leon, and then your favorite and mine, Mana, in November. So that's a great lineup, and those are all going to be fun.
Yeah, and it was great to see Karina Leon at the rodeo last year. I didn't realize how much he was in the general market and people knew who he was. I'm embarrassed to say, but I didn't know who he was until he came to the rodeo, and we had lots of people calling us asking if we had tickets, and they were non-Hispanics who just knew his music or whatnot. But he's pretty popular. But you got a great lineup, and I see we've got some UFC fight night fun stuff happening too, huh?
Yeah, UFC. I think it's been 3 years since they've been back here. A great value in terms of the show starts at 4 o'clock and probably won't be over till midnight, and so it's all day of action-packed fun. And put your gloves on and come on.
Yeah, and lots of popcorn and beer for sale for sure for that long period of time. So what else? Tell me what else. I see again basketball, right? NCAA is a big one.
Yep. NCAA, obviously the Rockets have always a busy schedule in March. And as we make the playoff push for April, that's going to be a lot of fun. Kevin Durant's been everything we hoped and more, and Alper and Şengün, both all-stars this year. So that's going to be awesome. So plenty of basketball. I think we've got 23 events in March. And so there's something for everybody. Come on down, and we love to stay busy, and we love to host people in our building.
So for more ticket information, where do they go?
ToyotaCenterTix.com or HoustonToyotaCenter.com, and we can get you everything you need. And when in doubt, give me a call. If you can't figure that out, we'll take care of it that way.
Folks who are interested for their corporate, events, et cetera, there's suites, opportunities to host special events there at Toyota Center. So give them a call, look up their website. And again, I want to thank you, Doug, for being such a great partner to the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We've got lots of events ourselves going on between now and the end of the year. So visit us at the website, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. Doug, you're the best. I hope to see you real soon, my friend.
Okay, great. Thank you for what y'all do. Bye-bye.
Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Always happy to have our corporate partners join us on this television program. Without them, we could not provide you with the many events and many programs and services that are all available on our website. So please visit HoustonHispanicChamber.com, HoustonHispanicChamber.com. We look forward to seeing you there. Cigna has been in the Houston region and throughout the country for a very long time. Our guest is Margaret Kressel. She's Vice President, Existing Business. Margaret, thank you for joining us, Margaret. We really, really appreciate you being here and your engagement in the Hispanic Chamber and throughout the Houston area.
It's my absolute pleasure. So happy to join you.
Thank you. So, Cigna, people know the name. And as you know, it can be complicated for people who are trying to take care of their health insurance needs. Tell us what you believe is different about Cigna and its employees and how it works with its constituents.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really sets us apart and makes me really proud to go to work every day is our organization is deeply committed to advancing innovation in healthcare and also focusing on designing comprehensive, cost-effective employee benefit plans. One of the things that's really important to us is to make things simple and reliable in everyday moments. It shouldn't be that complicated to find a doctor or to price your medication. You shouldn't go into the pharmacy unsure of exactly how much it's going to cost. It shouldn't feel like when you go to get your car repaired, for example. And so it's really important to us that we are educating our customers, educating the community. And beyond that, clinical and service excellence is also important to us. We want to make sure that we're showing up for our customers during extraordinary moments. So when someone's navigating, for example, a cancer diagnosis or managing their everyday with a lifelong chronic condition like diabetes. And I think the third thing I would point out that really makes us different is we're embedding industry-leading behavioral and pharmacy into everything that we do. We've noticed, and I think everyone has noticed, that beyond the pandemic, behavioral health is super important. It didn't go away after 2020. And it's important that we're recognizing that when someone is affected with their health, their family's affected, their employer is affected, and we want to make sure that we're taking their mental health into consideration throughout the process. The last thing I'll note, and you may have heard about this already, is we're really looking at how can we help people focus on their health and their healthcare versus paperwork. And so very simple things that really used to hold up the process for individuals like prior authorizations. We're looking at ways of, and we're actually doing things to make it easier and faster. So it used to be that something as simple as your zip code was wrong on a form from your doctor would hold up the process of you being able to get a surgery. And that's silly. And so our goal is to provide, and we're doing real-time status updates, mobile self-service, to where you could go in and just update your zip code so that the process could continue to move forward, and providing centralized support to help customers get answers and feel confident about their steps forward. The last thing that's a little bit different is we have expanded what we call our My Personal Champion. And think of this as a person that's dedicated to you, who is there to advocate and help resolve issues, provide expert guidance, and help that individual who's going through, let's say, a cancer treatment, for example, help that person focus on their care and recovery while this subject matter expert that's not going to be changing constantly, they're going to get to know that person is going to get to know them. The customer won't have to retell their story. And this person is an advocate to make sure that the paperwork and things are getting done behind the scenes so that the customer can just focus on their care and recovery.
And have an actual live person that they can communicate with in this world of technology, which we all love. Sometimes you just want to talk to someone, you want someone to answer that phone. So again, some back to basics for Cigna.
Yeah.
With the sophistication and technology and all of those great things. And with all that you've just said, we know, especially in a city like Houston, we are facing some significant healthcare disparities. What is Cigna doing about that?
There's a couple of things. I want to touch on what I mentioned before about mental health. The awareness has increased. I'm grateful that the stigma is not there as it used to be. People are more open to therapy, but what does that matter if access isn't there in our communities? And so one of the things that we've done is help to exponentially grow the opportunity for individuals to get access. So we are the only health plan that offers immediate access to a behavioral health clinician. And what that means, it sounds great, but what does it really mean? We connect our customers with a licensed clinical therapist at any time of day or night for an in-the-moment consultation with no out-of-pocket cost to the customer. That means we're here helping customers at 2 a.m, Christmas Eve, and individuals are able to also schedule and find a therapist that looks like them, that speaks their language, that identifies with things that are important to them in their lifestyle. And so I think that's critical. It's hard to even overcome the stigma to be open to therapy, but let alone to want to talk to someone that really understands you, understands your language, understands your culture. That's one thing that I think is really critical. The other thing that we're doing is what we call complete communities. It's a Houston-based initiative. I am born and raised in Houston, Texas, so being Vice President of Existing Business, Houston is within my heart for sure. And so I'm proud to say that we support, as a corporate sponsor, we're supporting 3 years of Brighter Bites at Cashmere Garden Elementary. And Brighter Bites provides 30 pounds of fresh produce every other week to the school. Families sign up to participate, and our most recent engagement count, which I am hopeful will continue to increase, there are over 120 families who are participating. So that's one local example. The second, I'm really excited and hope that we'll see you there for the ribbon cutting, which is Harris Health Food Pharmacy. So we sponsored Harris Health Food Pharmacy program, which supports people living with chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, which you know is very rampant in our Houston community. But it's not only looking at individuals that are dealing with type 2 diabetes, but also individuals who are food insecure. So Harris Health currently offers a food pharmacy, and pharmacy is spelled F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, so a pharmacy. The mini store that stocks a wide array of nutritious fruits, vegetables, canned foods, and meats within 3 of their healthcare facilities. And so we gave a very large sponsorship to fund refrigerated food lockers that will actually enable Harris Health to expand the pharmacy services to facilities that lack the space for the full mini store. So we're really excited about this expansion. You'll hear more about it within this first quarter of the year, and we're just excited about the opportunity to continue to partner in the Houston community.
Well, I can see why you've been part of the Cigna team since 2012. Your passion for this, your enthusiasm for it is quite evident. We certainly appreciate the engagement with the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that we've had with you and the entire Cigna team. Again, thanks for all that you do, and we look forward to seeing you and the Cigna team very soon. Thanks again, Margaret. We'll see you soon. Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I get excited when I hear this opportunity that I'm going to get to interview some dear friends who are doing phenomenal work in the greater Houston region. And they are some incredible people, always in the middle of every conversation that has to do with looking at anything regarding public affairs, et cetera. And they are none other than Jim Granada and Renee Cross, and they head up the Hobby School of Public Affairs. Jim is a dean and professor at the Hobby School of Public Affairs at the University of Houston. Go Cougs. And of course, my friend Renee Cross, she's the senior executive director and researcher. They have grown by leaps and bounds. They've got a phenomenal building now at the University of Houston, which houses them. And it's a thrill to have both of you on today. Welcome, and thanks for the partnership we have with you all.
Well, thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Both of you, Renee, so much to look at when you think of the things that you all can be involved in, and you've got to pick and choose. I know that you all do, but I want you to just take a minute and just appreciate how valuable you are to this region, the research that you all do, the impact it has on public policy. And we're just fortunate to have a relationship, and we're going to bring our friend back, Jim, to our data summit where he can share some of the great things that you all are researching and discovering. I'm going to stop there to say, Dean, tell us a little bit about, what you're excited about, the Hobby School of Public Affairs that you'd like to share with the audience.
It's just the growth. Our original mission, we created school in 2015. The top metric in our business plan was student placement. And so our curriculum, everything is directed towards that. It's quant training, ethics training, writing, student practicums / internship programs and leadership. And what we've seen is just a phenomenal growth in the number of students that now are part of the school. We went from 9 when we started. We're over 300 now. And the projection is that we'll be over 500 in about 4 years. A mature school is typically about 1,000. So we expect by the early 2030s will be about 1,000. So, but in terms of what's going on, it used to be 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I knew everything was going on at the school, reports and everything. I usually helped write them. Today, I have to keep up. There's usually 1 or 2 reports out every other week. Renee's polling with Mark Jones is just one item that we have that's going on all the time. We have the Center for Public Policy, which is working on, has created the Space City Panel, which is one of the only in the metropolitan area that tracks individuals over time. So it's like the gold standard when you do a survey because you're tracking the same people over time. That's a very valuable new component of the school. But in general, and Renee can fill in a lot that I'm missing, our intern programs are exploding. There's so many projects we're doing on a variety of issues in the city and in the region, even the state.
Yes.
It's just hard to keep up at this point for me.
Well, and not only are you all doing a lot of work, but it's having significant impact. And that's why I'm going to punt to you, Renee. Let's talk about the real impact that you're having on policy and information daily.
While I definitely want to talk about the research aspect and the research impact, I have to start with the students. Our students are very well trained, and when they graduate, they are ready to hit the ground running, whether it's in government or the private sector. Because as Jim mentioned, we have these different components. We have quantitative training. We have training in ethics. We have training in leadership and public service through our internships and fellowships. So that alone makes a huge human impact in our community and in our state. In terms of the research, for example, Jim mentioned our surveys that Mark Jones and I do. Our statewide surveys are often used by the legislature during the sessions. So keep in mind that Texas does not have an initiative process. So our surveys are one way that our policymakers, whether they're in Austin or Houston or even DC, can tap into exactly what people want.
So give me an example of one of the things that you all, looked at, presented, and became something that became a legislative imperative. Is there one you can think of?
Well, there's one actually a little closer to home. When we were discussing the bonds in Harris County to address some flooding mitigation,
Yes.
we were able to say, okay, would you be willing to spend this or this or this to get this or this or this? And that helped inform what went on the ballot.
And the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce used your analysis to present to our board. And at the end of it, we used your facts and your data to support the bond imperative, which ultimately passed. So that's a full circle. And it goes back to, Professor, the connectivity between the university, your program, Hispanic Chamber, business, the legislature. It's all connected, and you guys are the epicenter of so much of that. And the students not only are part of the process, but also become the ones that are leading these conversations. And so that has to be really fulfilling as a professor. And for you, Renee, to see, some of these people who've gone on to big jobs and take a little piece of that, hobby school with them, right?
Absolutely. And I never let them forget that it was the hobby school that got them started.
Yes, that's right. And make sure they throw that University of Houston sign up, because really I'm looking back at, my relationship with you guys and with you, Jim, is y'all were just 3 or 4 people. And as you said, the number of people involved, the growth, your board is just a true, absolute example of the right people on a team, hard work, and resiliency, and connecting the dots to get to where you all are in the 4th largest city. We need you all to provide us with data, facts, and figures. And that's why we had you out at our data summit. We look forward to having you all back again this year later, because we know that to drive the economy, to drive Houston, it cannot be anecdotal. We need facts. We need information. So what's on the horizon? What's something that you all are excited that you're working on or hope to work on this year?
At the top of the list in terms of research that has a local and state impact is certainly our Space City panel survey Jim had mentioned. Jim, do you want to talk a little bit about that real quick?
Little background. So we started the work on this in 2008.
Yes.
Because they are very expensive. So the idea came from when I worked at the National Science Foundation, and we had 3 big surveys in social sciences, and the one that was considered the best of the 3 surveys was the panel study in income dynamics, because you were able to track people over time and find out what's happened with their employment history, poverty, how long they're out of work before they got another job, how long it took to get the income they lost when they lost their job, how long got resilience, how long it took them to get back to where they were. And the medical profession uses these all the time. The Framingham study on cardiovascular diseases starts in the 40s. It's now the great-grandchildren are on that survey. So what you're doing when you track the same people over time,
yes,
it's gold, because you can have anybody who wants to be part of the survey just purchase a module and start to track what's happening given whatever issue they're concerned about. So surveys are really important. They're the telescope for the social and policy sciences, but in that ranking of what's the best type of survey, the panel is the best. The threat to a panel, though, is that people roll off. And so you have to struggle very hard to make sure you replace with people that are going to still be representative of the sample of the population you're looking at. But it's something we're very excited about. The other threat to it is that they're expensive, and we're working on a plan to keep it sustained over many, many, many years, because the longer it lasts, more valuable it becomes.
Absolutely. We know that so much of the research of universities is dependent on grants, philanthropy, individuals, and Houston's a great place to be positioned, and people truly respect the work that you all are doing individually, collectively with those students. And again, this is why we're so proud of our relationship with the Hobby School of Public Affairs and all the work that you all do. Renee and Jim, thank you so much for making time for today's interview, and we look forward to seeing you at the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Data Summit coming up later this year. Go Cougs.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
having us.
Bye-bye.